Since you didn't hear the announcement, you are quite surprised to see how California has changed. With all the slot machines and casinos.
After wandering around the Las Vegas airport for 2 hours, you nearly missed the plane, failing to hear the final boarding call.
Finally, you arrive at your destination and check into your hotel. On the first sightseeing tour, much to your dismay, you find there are tapes that have been prepared to explain the interesting facts about the beautiful place you are paying to visit, and tour guides whom you cannot understand at all.
Automobile travel is not necessarily a piece of cake either, as you will see.
A pebble gets caught in your hubcap. You drive 800 miles before someone brings it to your attention.
At a service station, the attendant asks if you want him to fill her up, and you reply, yes. Then he asks if you want him to check the oil, and you reply, yes. Then he says something you don't quite catch, but it has something to do with tires, so you assume he wants to check the air, and again you reply, yes, hoping he hasn't asked you if you want 4 new tires or if you want to buy a service station.
You start your car but don't feel the vibration because the motor is running so smoothly. You push the starter again and step on the gas fully, making so much noise that it sounds like a jet engine taking off. Passers-by gives you the stupid look.
You're driving down the interstate. The radio broadcaster announces that all cars should use alternate routes or be in for a long wait. Well, you continue down the interstate and end up waiting, wishing all the while that the highway department would have the sense to put up flashing warning signs.
Your car is hit by the car of a hearing person. You want to call the police as you feel you are entirely innocent, but the hearing person refuses to call and then leaves. There are no witnesses. You drive to the police station to report the incident, but it is inconclusive since there were no policemen on the scene. This makes it difficult to collect from the other party's insurance company.
Unbeknownst to you, your muffler has a hole in it. You drive along oblivious. Imagine your embarrassment when you get a fine for disturbing the peace.
When bringing to light some of the typical confusions and hazards of daily life, one shouldn't ignore the delights and the disasters of dining out.
Since you have pretty good speech, when eating out with friends, you usually do the ordering and talking with the waitress. Now, guess who gets stuck with a check every time?
A man at the table next to yours asks if he can borrow your sugar, but you ignore him since you didn't hear him. He scowls at you as if you were very rude.
One night you decide to dine in a fine restaurant, and you wait in line with the others. The hostess asks if there are any parties of one who would like to be seated. When you get to the front of the line, the hostess asks how many, and you reply 1. She gives you a look of annoyance, but you can't figure out why.
In college, you were a popular guy, athletic and well-dressed. No problems with the girls. So one night, you decide to go someplace really special. You take her to a high-class restaurant, acting very suave and debonair. You open the door for her, seat her at the table in a manner which Sir Walter Raleigh could not have improved upon. Then, when the waiter comes, your date has to do the ordering, because even though you went to an exclusive oral school, you can't even say potato clearly enough to be understood.
You smack your lips while eating, and then you wonder why all at once everyone is looking in your direction.
You take your favorite lady to a restaurant that is the place for good food and romantic atmosphere. The walls are painted in muted pastels, the candlelight is low and flickering, and neither of you can see a single thing the other is saying. So much for romance.
You wish you really could have it your way at the fast food restaurant, but with the communication mix-up, Sometimes you feel lucky to have it any way at all.
The waiter, impossibly loaded down with tray, yells, "Coming through," and assuming that you'll move, he doesn't even slow down. A moment later, the two of you are wearing the daily specials.
On that note, let's move on to consumerism. See what kind of mix-ups can develop there.
You are at a pharmacy to get a prescription filled and decide to do some shopping to pass the time. When you finish, you check back, but it is not yet ready. So you do some more shopping and then check back again. Still no prescription. Finally, you ask what happened and find out they put it under the counter when no one answered the page.
In the grocery store, doing your weekly shopping, you're studying the different sizes in order to get the most for your money. A woman with a cart says, "Pardon me." You don't hear, so you don't budge. She gets so frustrated that she slams into your cart, stomps by in a huff, when all she needed to do was tap you on the shoulder.
In a store, it is sometimes necessary to take a number and wait your turn. Now, this is an awkward procedure for hearing-impaired persons. You must watch the person with the number just before yours and shadow him better than Sherlock Holmes would have.
When you take things out of your pocket, many times other things come out and fall onto the floor, which you don't realize until much later when you're missing something.
One day, in a supermarket, you accidentally and unknowingly knock over a display of canned vegetables. You continue on your merry way, wondering why everyone is glaring at you.
On a Sunday afternoon, you're going shopping, and a stranger asks you who is winning the football game. You tell him it is your hearing aids, not a radio.
That kind of innocent misunderstanding happens all the time. Events or people's attitudes and behavior seem to be one way, when really they are another. Yes, stories of mix-ups and mayhem. We got a million of them.
Like, for instance, you walk into a meeting that's already in session, oblivious to the fact that you're making all kinds of racket, causing the speaker to lose his place.
Or you drag your feet when you walk because it's a habit, not because you enjoy annoying people.
A bunch of hearing buddies and you are playing cards, and someone tells you that the noisy way you shuffle the card drives them crazy. You end up winning the game, but denying that this was part of your strategy.
Smoking a pipe is one of your habits. One day, a pretty girl gives you the eye while you're smoking. You think she thinks that you're quite handsome and debonair. Later, a friend tells you that you make a terrible noise while you're smoking. You don't feel quite so debonair.
You brush your teeth and gargle before bed each night. One night, your mother comes running in and asks what's the matter. That it sounds like you're strangling.
Watching television, you turn up the volume in order to hear a little, until the tenants down the hall come running to tell you that they can hear your TV better than their own.
On a camping weekend, you wind up sleeping in your car because all the campsites are full. During the night, your leg leans against the horn, and soon everyone in the entire camp is up and looking around. Some are even banging on your window. You get angry at being awakened at 3 in the morning for no reason at all.
As you can well begin to understand, there's a whole world of confusion and frustration, tears and laughter, and highs and lows in our collective lives, just like in yours. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a minute to share more.
America's lighthouses, majestic sentinels, guiding men in their ships through hazardous waters, through narrow channels, and along unfamiliar coastlines. Modern navigational aids have made...
The physical act of communicating lends itself to many unusual and sometimes humorous incidents. And though deaf people are probably the most versatile communicators, we are constantly developing our methods of communication to find out what works best in certain situations. For instance,
As a child, you often played in the yard while your father gardened or did other chores. One day, he is repairing the roof. He needs to get your attention, but you are not looking in his direction. He puts on a show to rival prime-time television in order to get you just to look at him.
Your brothers and sisters always liked to eavesdrop on your parents, and you played along too, thinking it was all great fun, even though you couldn't hear a thing.
A hearing friend tells you she is going bowling. When someone asks for her, you tell them that she went bowling. Later, someone tells you she went boating. Then you find out she actually went voting.
You tell a friend orally to meet you at the Acme supermarket at 10 a.m. She misunderstands you. She goes to the A&P. When you see each other again, she accuses you of having the world's worst speech, while you accuse her of not being able to lip read worth a darn.
you tell a deaf joke to a group of hearing friends. They laugh, but don't understand. And they tell you one of their jokes. You laugh, but don't understand it. You tell another one, and they tell another one. Kindness can sometimes be carried too far.
You start feeling sorry for yourself because no one has visited you in over 2 weeks. Then you find out that your flashing doorbell light burned out.
A deaf man is standing outside waiting for the bus. It starts to rain, and he notices a new car dealership. He goes inside to stay warm and dry. A salesman sees him, and his eyes light up, new prey. The man doesn't feel like going through the hassle of explaining that he is deaf. So he just keeps nodding his head as the salesman keeps talking. Yep, you guessed it. The salesman comes back to him with a contract to buy a new car. Luckily, the bus arrives just in time. The man is about to sign.
You and a hearing friend are walking home from school. You have enough books in your arms to start your own library. Your girlfriend becomes impatient when you don't answer the question she has just asked. You wish you would remember you can't talk with your hands full. Or you are in big, big trouble, and your mom is giving you the very devil. Your little brother is fooling around with the computer and blows a fuse. The whole house goes dark. Mom and you can no longer hear each other. Boy, do you love your little brother.
Your hearing brother knows something you did that you weren't supposed to do. He's been holding it over your head for months. Today, you lip read him as he happens to admit to a friend that he's the one who put the dent in Mom's car. Hoo-hoo, power.
One day, as you're walking down a street, a policeman blows his whistle at you. Unaware, you continue on your way. Later, you're thankful that you did not get your brains blown out, as has happened to other less fortunate people.
While riding on the bus, you ask the driver for some specific directions. He answers you while looking straight ahead. You realize the only way you're going to be able to lip read him is to get out on the hood of the bus and look through the windshield.
Your friend's little girl is trying desperately to tell you something, but you can't hear. You realize what she wanted after she wets her pants.
While you are taking a shower, some friends drop by to visit, and your husband lets them in without telling you. You walk from the bathroom to the bedroom, giving your guest a real burlesque show.
A friend has asked you to help him move some of his furniture. Now, you're trying to move a heavy sofa down a flight of stairs. He takes the front, and you take the rear. And he is going a little too fast for you, but he's looking in the opposite direction, as you can't do much except hope his insurance is paid up.
Wait a minute. I think it's timely at this point to bring up the other side of the coin. Deafness is definitely not all bad. There are many blessings that I'll bet you never thought of.
You go to bed one calm, starry night and awaken to find that your home was almost blown away by a brutal storm, which kept everyone else awake all night, and you slept like a baby.
You don't have to write off your ears as a total loss. No, they can still be used for looks, to hold your eyeglasses, to wear pierced earrings, and to balance your head.
You can communicate in the library, still be quiet.
Watching television, wife vacuums the house, doesn't bother you at all.
When walking down the street, you don't hear the nasty remarks given to you by those macho smart alecks.
You don't have to worry about loud music that your teenagers have blaring around the house. It won't make you deaf.
You can congratulate a bowling friend several alleys away for making a strike.
You don't have to be awakened in the middle of the night by barking dogs, or your neighbors arguing, or practically anything else.
And
you don't have to worry about going deaf when you get old.
To you, I would like to introduce our talented guests to you one more time. Ms. Tereline Theriot, Ms. Mary Beth Barber, Mr. Charles Katz, Mr. Tom Henschel, and, of course, Mr. Lou Fant. I want to thank all of you today for helping us to bring all our worlds and cultures closer together. And we certainly thank deaf author Roy Holcomb for graciously giving us permission to adapt his book and share it with you. Tell us what you think about the show. Write to us anytime. Offhand, Post Office Box 1902, Beverly Hills, California, 90213. Come back to us next week, and remember, silence is golden. Sometimes.